They are defining symbols of big city life, but those gleaming condo towers are a deeply mixed blessing.
We're going to have a huge problem on our hands in 10 or 20 years.
It's not just a case of buyer beware, although there's plenty of that.
Welcome to my nightmare, folks.
This is my third attempt at a kitchen.
The lock itself doesn't actually turn.
These are people's homes we're talking about. Or are they?
The industry's not really set up to be a housing alternative play as much as it is a commodities play.
Hey, Fazul, how's things in Dubai?
I'm Anne-Marie McDonald. DocZone plays the condo game. 20 years ago, Christina Sobolak moved into a condo building on Lakeshore Boulevard, just west of downtown Toronto. It was the beginning of the condo craze.
Well, when I first saw this place, I just fell in love with the view. It's absolutely amazing. The first 10 years that I lived here, I was quite happy and I didn't have too many problems. But then in 2000, my nightmare started.
Defective windows that couldn't be left open were a major problem. And then there were the leaking pipes.
This is my third attempt at a kitchen in 13 years. It was almost completed. There was a massive flood in my unit, destroyed my cabinetry. Well, this is my only sink, only functioning sink in this unit. So it serves as my bathroom sink, my kitchen sink, and you can see just the flood damage. There's been floods in this room as well from, I don't know, pipes above me.
While Sobolak's unit is almost certainly in the worst condition, others in the building have faced water issues too. But Sobolak's the only one suing her condo board and going public.
She did all this in a weekend. Everything I'm scrolling by.
Sobolak hasn't endeared herself to fellow owners with the blog chronicling her problems.
It's a nuisance, an annoyance. It's like camping in Algonquin Park and a mosquito lands on your arm. You know, the very first one of the year, and you go, God, that's annoying.
Sobolak's latest blog post concerns the Condo Corp's plan to redecorate the lobby and hallways instead of focusing on structural and mechanical issues.
That's what I think they should be concentrating, spending our reserve fund on, not on cosmetic redecoration. That's just like putting icing on a crumbling old cake.
But when the board meets with residents, the decision is made to go ahead with the renos and replace the pipes later.
Welcome to my audience out there. You are listening to Linda Pinizzato of The Condo Expert.
However the Sobolak story ends, the president of the Condo Owners Association says it raises an important issue.
It's like the guy that has a bad roof, and at one side it needs repairing, but they let it go until the following year just to see if it could maybe get another year out of it, that type of thing. But cosmetically, they want it looking pretty. That mentality, honestly, is suicide for a condo building.
From politics to plumbing systems, volunteer condo boards are often ill-equipped to deal with the complexities of managing big buildings.
We don't require condominium boards to necessarily possess any type of specific expertise, and what you have is Cessna pilots trying to fly 747s. And the question is do you want to get on that 747?
As the boom generation of glass towers age, maintenance problems will multiply, ready or not.
New condominiums get their operating costs set by a study that the developer does, and the developer guarantees them for exactly the first year. Then a few years later, you find that, well, the glass seals aren't working, we've got to fix that, or the radiator pipes have to be fixed, or the cladding really isn't very good and has to be replaced in its entirety. And suddenly these bills can add up and add up to the point where people may, in 10 years, have real problems hanging on to their unit.
And what about the falling glass that started it all? Window wall exteriors are fast to install and terribly trendy. And the consensus seems to be that the rain of glass in 2011 might have been just a bad batch. But window walls are an environmental and maintenance nightmare.
In many provinces, in many states, and in Europe, it's illegal to have the floor-to-ceiling glass using this regular glass. And the problem is not just the energy loss, but there's also the problems of mold and the problems of maintenance and the thermal stresses created by this.
The overall maintenance picture is truly alarming when aging buildings are substantially investor-owned.
If you keep your maintenance fee down, your return on investment increases. And so as a result, the tall buildings, which are very tough to fix, are maintained poorly. And you can see the building standards aren't great. They're built quickly and they're built cheaply many times. And you can see tall buildings starting to spiral down.
I think there's a real problem with these monolithic buildings that are sold to foreigners or to speculators. I think the governance is going to be a nightmare. I think they are potentially going to become slums.
The fear is that giant homogeneous developments like City Place could go downhill fast.
I suspect this might follow the same sort of path and be the next St. Jamestown.
Originally built in the 60s to house the young middle class, St. Jamestown rapidly deteriorated. As of 2011, the mean income was 35% below the city average.
When tall buildings fall apart, you have a hell of a time fixing the problems that get embedded in them. You know, I've had to remove crack houses from residential neighborhoods, affluent residential neighborhoods, poor residential neighborhoods. It's a hell of a task. Try doing it on the 17th floor of a high-rise. The police don't drive by on a regular basis, and the folks that live next door are scared to death. And so these tall buildings present an amazing set of problems, environmentally, economically, socially, to the city. And we've built more of them and built them quickly in Toronto than any other city. We're going to have a huge problem on our hands in 10 or 20 years.